Hey world, welcome to Just TAi episode 5 with your host Stefan Dior. Thanks for tuning in. I hope that you checked out the last 4 episodes, because in this one I'm going to talk about the principle of correspondence. And if you haven't seen the principle of mentalism, that the universe is mental, please check out episode 3. So let's jump right into this. The principle of correspondence, which holds the truth that as above, so below, as above, below, so above. So it starts with the microcosm, and the microcosm represents us. It represents our consciousness on this level of playing field. It represents the individual, while the macrocosm represents the all, the large things, the things that govern where we are in this local reality. And the macrocosm, that holds the natural law principles, the laws that govern, as I said, this reality. We need to apply this principle because it is the most important mental instrument in order to figure out the hidden things that's in the universe, okay? This truth of as above, so below is a truth because everything emanates from the same source. Everything emanates from the all the laws, all principles, all combination, all phenomena, it all comes from the same law and all comes from the same source. Therefore, all of reality, all of life, starting from the highest to the lowest, is all governed by the same principles, the same natural law principles. So learning this principle of correspondence is the key, okay? There are 3 planes of existence that we can divide this world in. Well, our life and our reality in. General, not specific. This is just a general synopsis, okay? The first is the physical plane, and that involves all forms of matter, energy, force, heat, like all of that. That's physical. And then there's the mental plane, and that's where our mind exists, like the human mind, the mind of plants, the mind of animals, and yada yada. And then there's the spiritual plane, and this is like the highest, right below the all. And this is where the great groups of life manifestations, like the archangels and the watchers of the universe, this is where they all exist. A random fact: spirit in the occult world, it means the life animating principle. It is the idea of power and living energy. That's the idea that's carried in it. That's what spirit means. When you give something spirit, where you're inspired by something, inspired comes from the Greek or Latin word, I'm not sure, that means the same of in spirit. So when you're in spirit of somebody, you're inspired by somebody, you take on their spirit, the animating principles. Think TAi about that, just TAi. Alright, why is this all important? Because the universe is an individual, as an individual also contains the universe. It works vice versa, okay? The mental plane, like as said in episode 1 and 3, when I talk about thoughts, our reality, this physical reality, is created through our thoughts as a whole people, how we all collectively think. That's how this physical reality is formed. So we have to make sure we ground ourselves in truth, or else we'll be creating a reality that we wish not to live in, and we would not know how to escape, no matter how hard we try. Okay, so it's the physical, it's the mental, and then there's the spiritual plane. Okay, just to recap. When learning about the principle of correspondence, you also learn about fractals and fractal patterns, okay? And fractal patterns, if you look at the end of episode 2 of Just TAi, no, episode 1 of Just TAi, I have a video called The Power of Tens, where they start like the little vibrating strings, and it keeps zooming out. You see the atom, then you see groups of atoms, then you see cells, groups of cells, skin, people, groups of people, earth, groups of earth, i.e. planets, solar systems, yada yada. Fractal patterns. This also goes what I was saying before about the Powers of 10 movie and about the principle of correspondence. Fractals is you draw something. I'll put an animation up here. But it's when you draw something, or when something is created, and then it self-replicates exactly the same. So when you zoom out, it will look like a pattern, a specific pattern, but when you zoom all the way into it, you still see the same exact pattern. We can use the snowflake as an example. Everything is self-replicating. That goes on terms of the holographic universe. If you tie about that and do your research, this will start making a lot more sense. Fractal patterns with various degrees of self-similarity have been studied or rendered in images, sounds, structures. Is found in nature and art. If you look at the sunflower, I'm going to talk about this in a later episode, but if you look at the sunflower, all the petals follow a pattern known as the Fibonacci sequence. And the Fibonacci sequence is found everywhere in nature. Everywhere. Alright, here goes a quote from someone I found on the internet named TAi I. I know it sounds generic, but he says something good. To find the fractal operating in nature makes me wonder how far physical science can follow that pattern before it disappears into the subatomic level. It makes me wonder if it is the light becoming matter. We are all beings of light. Any tradition will tell you this. Any esoteric tradition will tell you this. We are just beings of light, manifested into this reality. So when you look at the fractal, this is just something I've been thinking about, and this quote made me think even more. Are we just self-replicating fractal patterns of light that become so complex and so condensed and brought to a lower vibration, as we will talk about in episode 6, that we essentially are created. Things are essentially created from light. Light is the source. Why? For he is the way, the truth, and the light. The all, okay? Not God, but the little g. All is held in the mind of the all. As we learn more about the other principles that follow after this, keep in mind this most important principle of correspondence. And it will start to make more sense. Stuff will start to connect. The following principles will start to connect, okay? If we're able to grab this concept like we're supposed to be, then we will become masters instead of slaves. Because that's how the masters do. The master mongas, we're all born magicians. Because we were all put here to use the higher laws onto this reality. We were not meant to be mindless 666 beasts. We were meant to be rulers here and to learn how. We learned how to survive a long time ago. Now it's time to be the magician. It's the magician on the tarot deck that I will talk about. As above, so below. That's why you see him pointing down to the heavens, and right where he points at is flowers growing, because that's nature, and he operates and knows all the laws of nature. His table represents the 4 elements: the pentacle, the cups, the wands, and the swords. The table represents the 4 elements. We all have to become masters, and I urge everyone to just tie. Because I want to be in the land of masters. I don't want to be in slavery anymore. Even if I'm not one of the slaves, I don't want to turn around and everywhere I look, I see a slave. I want us to become stronger. In order to do this, we must grab a hold of these ancient concepts that have never went away. They were just tucked under and occulted. And I am here to de-occult these truths. Because I care for you, okay? I care for the world, and I want all of us to just come together as one and do what we have to do. Hey, thanks for tuning in to episode 5 of Just TAi. I hope that you enjoyed yourself, and stay seated for episode 6 that should be dropping soon. I'm not exactly sure if I'm talking about vibration, which is the next natural law principle, or if it's going to be another random topic of what I was just tying about for the day. Okay, so hope you keep your head high, keep your hopes even higher, and keep your head in them books, okay? And just tie. We all tie. But do we really tie?